First of all, Fat Nuggets is back. He got some paid vacation, so he's back now. Here in Sweden, we have to give like employees paid vacation, and Cici is my secretary. He had to get some, but he's back. How much back, I am unsure. He seemed very, very lazy after coming back to work, or whatever you want to call it. First of all, obviously you're here for the title. I will have to give a huge spoiler warning. I will talk about all of the Silmarillion and the extra stuff I have in my edition. I will also talk about a bit like from the movies, about The Hobbit, the book The Hobbit, what I read so far in the book Lord of the Rings, and Silmarillion does connect quite a few dots to the TV show. So if you don't care about spoilers of any of it, then you're free to go. But if you don't care about like Silmarillion, but you don't want Lord of the Rings spoiled, first of all, how have you not gotten spoiled with Lord of the Rings? Please comment down below if that hasn't happened. Otherwise, I mean, you might have read the Silmarillion, but you don't want to be spoiled for a TV show, don't watch. Like, I have nothing more to offer when it comes to spoiler warning, so you don't want to be spoiled anything ever in the Tolkien universe, yes, don't watch this. So, to begin, we start off with the thing I have read the whole thing. This is my Silmarillion. As you can see, you have the J, double R, and the T, which I didn't realize until like some time ago. With this book, I got a note. This is the Silmarillion 30th anniversary edition. So we have 14-page letter written by Tolkien in 1951, containing his account of the mythology of Middle-earth. We got the map. For the first time, the Tolkien's painting of Halls of Manwë. Yeah, we have also Luthien to Neovel. Math of the Realm, quarter bound in the Imperial Blue, blah 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 blah. Yeah, so basically we get a little bit of extra with this. So I have seen online that people that have read the Silmarillion is like, okay, either you get it or you don't get it. Because I was a bit confused. The first chapters of this, it starts off quite easy, you know, like, how did the people of Middle-earth come to be? I mean, that's fine and all. But then we start to get like, like this chapter right here. Of the ruin of Beleriand and the fall of Fingolfin. So, what made me realize what's going on is that in this edition in the back you get family trees. And I ended up drawing out the whole family tree. So we have Finwë and Miriel that goes here, which is the woodland elves. And then we have Finwë within this that lead to like Fingolfin, Finarfin, that in the end lead to Galadriel, that ends up all the way down here. Which As you can see, technically, Arwen and Aragorn are like cousins, but Aragorn is like 12 times removed or something. But yeah, so the chapters of Silmarillion is basically you get the backstory to how all of this came to be. Then you get like couples here. I know one is Luthien and Beren. Because, well, they're joining together because this is from the more elvish Erven side, you know, Elve Thingol. And join with like person of Beor, which is human. And from that we get like human mix up and, you know, all that. So basically it's just a huge history of how mostly the elven race came to be how it is in the later things. Because we get a bit of like Idil and Tuor, Huor and Hurin and their partners. Yeah, a bit of that. So basically it's just a huge backstory to all of it. Which I do like when I did realize what was going on. Because first it was like, okay, I'm getting it. We get the backstory of how the elves, the dwarves and all of them came to be. That's fine. But all of a sudden it started being about certain situations and certain people which I didn't connect until I saw that, obviously. And I mean, that's fine and all, you know. Like, I wasn't too worried about that when I actually got it in the end. Here I have the map that's the old kingdom, so to say. This is how it looks like. These are the mountains that lead to Misty Mountain. So this is like way west. And obviously it's also old names. This is about like first age, you know. But then we come into what I realized was the spoilers for the TV show. I have started watching the TV show. I actually like it. I have nothing against that whatsoever. Like, why would you? But then we get to shorter extra stories. For example, the downfall of Numenor. And here is, as I said, where all the spoilers begin. Because here we get to know like how Numenor came to have this war that apparently Sauron was like connected to because he led some people astray, which created a war, and Numenor ended up as basically Atlantis. And yeah, Elros, which is Elrond's brother, did help to create in Numenor. He had a special like tower or something, a pillar. So if Numenor were to fall, then Aragorn would have been one of the kings of Numenor. And it also describes like how only some people made it and they had to like mix up with the humans that lived closest by the Middle Earth like ocean, you know, the coast. And because of that we get like Aragorn that, well, obviously he doesn't live forever, but he's obviously not just human. And not only that, but The Rings of Power and the Third Age. This is very describing of in the TV show when you get to see how Sauron is trying to make the rings and manipulate and all that. And you also get to know that the ring is not just any ring, it is the ruling ring. So obviously that's why it's the one ring, it's the ruling ring, it's obviously more OP than the rest. And obviously it speaks more about like Mirkwood and like people that came from Numenor. You also get to know about Mithrandil and that all the wizards were actually from the... Oh, what is it called? Because I know there is... They have a word. No. Avenir... Ainir... I do not know. Okay, I didn't find it. My bad. Well, I will put it in the subtitles, obviously. Well, subtitles and subtitles. Text. Either way, you do get like the backstory, and in the absolute end of the Rings of Power, this story, you do get like this super short like, oh, here we have Frodo, and he went and did it, and boom, all of a sudden it's all good and done again. Which, I mean, I like it, you know. Give a little bit more, like, getting it. Oh yeah, here you have all the different elves and, you know, how they came to be. Not only that, but you have like notes of pronunciation. So, for example, Celeborn is not Celeborn, even though it's spelled with a C. And like, I mean, Durin. People say Durin, but it's Durin because of the apostrophe or whatever you call it. And obviously we have, they do say that there are like things like Numenorean and Dwarvish, and they also have index of names, so you can look up if you want a special name, like if you want to know about Beran, well then you have like who he is, where he's relevant, all the pages in this book. So yeah, that's actually quite nice. Yeah, it's very simple. But obviously, since it is the 30th anniversary edition and you do get the story The Fall of Numenor, I did get very spoiled with like the TV show, and especially like, oh, here you also have the extra stories, The Rings of Power. I wonder which story is mostly about when it comes to the TV show. But to continue on the history part, I also have, from the same company, Lord of the Rings. And obviously, what's the extra I get with this one? Using J.R.L. Tolkien's original manuscripts with access to his own annotated copies of the book, the editors have restored the text with almost 400 corrections, some which date back to the first edition. Original red and black maps drawn by Christopher Tolkien, 2 of which appear as a fold-out sheet. Appearing for the first time is a full color palette section featuring the 3 pages of the Book of Masarbul, painstakingly created by Tolkien. Also appearing for the first time 2 additional Hobbit family trees by Tolkien, and you know, all that. So when it comes to this one, obviously we have the Eye of Sauron. I have only read the first chapter of this, though you can see where the 3 books are fixed. The first thing I want to say is it's very nice because here you have like everything that Tolkien has created. And the one I've told about my dad about is The Adventure of Tom Bombadil. Apparently he got very interested in that. But the first thing I noticed is when I open up, it's The Fellowship of the Ring, Book 1, Book 2, and then at Book 3 it's The Two Towers. That is because it was actually supposed to be 6 books, but when it got published it ended up as 3 books. And obviously you do get note on the text where it is like what the writers of this has talked about, but also a bit of like what Tolkien himself thinks. But to continue the history, you do get a prologue, which is basically like history about Hobbits 101. Because as said, he has added 2 family trees. Here you have all of the Shire. Because like here lives one family tree, and then you have like this, you know, it's actually very big and they do move around. Though when it comes to this history about hobbits, it do connects to the TV show again, because here they write about, well, obviously before hobbits went to the Shire, they were wanderers, like most humans have done in real life. And also it writes about like, yeah, well, we have like Pippin, that he got kids and then he got grandkids. And people don't actually know much about, well, you know, Hobbit history, because obviously like it was the first age and the only ones that actually like know and have history recorded is elves. And obviously they're quite selfish, so they just keep to themselves, so they don't have for anyone else. But also when I looked up like, well, I was interested after I read the Silmarillion, like, okay, when is this? So I tried to look up like, okay, when was Bilbo born? I think it should like 12 or 1400 something, and I was like, he was not born the first age, because I thought like, okay, since it's 1 and some other number, it gotta mean the first age. But that makes no sense. But here it is explained that thus begin the Shire reckoning for the year of crossing the Brandywine, which became year 1 of the Shire. So to like, yeah, we have here. Thus the years of the Elven Age in the reckoning of the elves and the Dundee may be found by adding 1600 to the days of the Shire reckoning. So it was a bit of like 1600 years too late. But obviously that does explain why you can find in family trees like that Bilbo was born in like 1200 something. Oh yeah, also in Silmarillion you do get to know why dwarves and elves hate each other. The person that made it possible to live in the mountains was, I think, like Thingol or something, and he's part of the. Either way, it was someone from the elven family tree. So obviously, when that person had died, and dwarves had already moved in, elves realized that, Oh yeah, that mountain, that's ours. So they went to the dwarves and be like, hey yo, this is our place, you know? Like, haha. And the dwarves, obviously, stubborn things, were like, yeah, well, good for you that you think this is your place, but we live here now. And, you know, because of their stubbornness and such, the elves had to give up, even though they did have elves in mountains that do, like, make weapons and such. But yeah, that's, like, part of why they hate each other. But obviously, if you're a hardcore fan, you probably want to see some. So, yeah, for some reason it paused the recording, so I have to continue where I stopped. But here you have the book of Marsabul. I think it was in Khazd-dûr, I can't read it. So, yeah. Obviously, we also get this, as I said before, this map. Which you can see, like, here we have Gondor, Rohan, Mordor, yeah, all that. So if we were to, like, think about this whole thing, I don't even know where the last map would be. I don't even think it would be... Yeah, it would probably be, like, way over here, I believe. But, you know, it's hard to know. So, yeah. But, yeah, I do find it interesting, and I do find it to be worth it with these. Because, yeah, well, yeah, like, in Silmarillion you get, like, this piece. So, yeah. It's not a lot you get there, but it is only about the elven kind and not, like, that much about dwarves. Or hobbits for that matter, but... I mean, hobbits have always kept to themselves, and that's why they didn't get a ring, like... They weren't really part of the whole big thing, so... Yeah. Yeah. Though, one thing I am pretty sure I will speak more about, except for this whole book when I finish reading it, is probably a little bit about, like... yeah, I just found this and I do find it cool. Here you have the language. I think it's the Angorethas. Don't I just tried. Yeah, so that was probably Khazd-dûr or something, and here we have Elven language. So yeah, they do have for writing and spelling, so you can learn the language, which is amazing. Yes, here you have the Brandybuck and the Longfather tree of Master Samwise. So these I will also go into later on, you know, when I have finished reading everything. So Baggis of Hobbiton and Bolger of Budgeford. So as you can see, there is a lot of family trees that Tolkien is focused on, which I'm definitely not mad at. Like, it's good to have like a full lore on it, you know. So that is quite nice to me. Though I can see why some people would be like, oh my god, so boring, you know, like all that. You also get for the line of the Dwarves of Erebor, as it was set out by Gimli Gonsoin, son for King Elisar. Because they do go into like the story of Durin's folk. I was about to say folk. The Swedish version, you know, people. So that's quite nice. Yes, I am looking through as I'm speaking. So if I do seem a bit like out of it, it's because I'm making a bad review and actually didn't check beforehand. Mostly because, well, I didn't want to get that spoiled. But yeah, obviously, if you're not into me and want like collector's value and things like that, I don't recommend getting it. Because this is basically just like lore and collector's value. This cost me 1100 Swedish crowns. And if I didn't have like so a sales code, I would have paid 1200 for it. Still over 1,000. And for Silmarillion, I paid like 900. And obviously, like, if you're... When I'm into a fandom, especially one like Lord of the Rings, where I had a small interest as a child, it died out and now I'm fully into it. It gets too much. I'm one of those that like really like obsess about it. Like I have to find something new to obsess about to leave something old. Because like before it was about Moon Knight and now it's more like House of the Dragon, Lord of the Rings, you know, all that. But yeah, please don't judge me too much. I do know it's an issue. But I'm also one of those that do like collecting things. Because, well, I see that probably one day when I grow old I will sell stuff, you know, and then just be a hobbit, you know, like live in my house, eat 6 meals a day, just relaxing and probably writing or something. But yeah, I do hope that the people who felt they could stay or stayed even though they got spoiled AF, I hope you like this video. As said, I will be talking more about Lord of the Rings, since I have only read the first chapter except for the extra chapters that has nothing to do with the story. I will never ever say again that like, yeah guys, next week I will do this, because like the last 3 weeks it hasn't been what I said I would do. So yeah, it's very much more open now. If you have any ideas and recommendations, please write them down below. If you haven't heard about Lord of the Rings before, write them down below, because I have no idea how you have escaped being on the internet whatsoever and not know about Lord of the Rings or any of them. And, well, you know, like the usual that every YouTuber ever tries to force on you. Like, subscribe, and comment down below. I mean, I would like to reach like over 10 subscribers by the year's end, but yeah. So, Fat Nuggets, you have any last words? Interesting. Peace.